Greetings, and welcome to the MTI FX Advisor Charting Tutorial Archive. The intent of this archive is to maximize your potential as a trader by knowing how to best utilize the charting software that you use on a daily basis. In this series of videos, we will cover a range of topics pertaining to your MTI 4.0 software and its functionality. In this specific video, we will cover how to use alarms within the MTI 4.0 software. Before we begin, let me quickly recap on the topics covered in Video 3. Video 3 includes working with different candle types, creating templates and using them as defaults, creating pages, linking support and resistance, an explanation of your toolbars, removing and adding them, the magnet tool, arrow, and cursor tools, creating symbols in the market, switching time zones and time frames, refreshing chart data, deleting candles, and refreshing chart data for all open charts, and finally, how to print a chart. Let's get started with today's lesson. The first thing that I'd like to cover with you is placing price alarms and customizing them for straddles and price breaks. First, let's maximize the Japanese yen chart. On this chart, should we want to straddle a certain price, we would first label our resistance and then our support. Once you have your resistance and support labeled is when you would then use a chart alarm. In order to use the chart alarm, what you will do is right-click on your chart, select Chart Alarm, and then New. Once you've done so, you're going to left-click on the right-hand side of your chart where it shows you the price numbers. Once you left-click, you'll see a red arrow indicating that your alarm has now been activated. You'll do so for not only resistance but support as well. This way, when you get a breakout of either resistance or support, it will give you an alarm to notify you it's time to move back to your computer and contemplate placing a trade. The next thing that I'd like to show you is placing alarms for counter trendline breaks. When you're using counter trendline breaks, you first of all want to make sure you're using the trendline tool, make sure that your trendline is extended, and then you're going to right-click on your trendline and click on Alarm. You have two different options on the alarm. You can use on close past line, which will not alarm until your candle is closed past your trend line, or upon penetration of that line, which basically means if the market was to touch or come close to your trend line, you would then get an alarm at that point. I like to use the upon penetration feature, as normally when it gets close, it tends to move through. The next thing that I'd like to show you is creating alarms for regular trend lines. When you're using regular trend lines, it is the same as using counter trend lines. What you will do is draw your trend line from your A to your C, right-click on your trend line, select Alarm, and then either on Close Past Line or upon penetration of that line. Next thing I'd like to show you is how to change or use different sounds when you're using alarms. In order to find how to do so, you must first click Utilities, then Global Settings, Sound and Alarms, which will bring up the Sound and Alarms tab, and under the file that says Play Wave File, you must click File Name, which in turn will open up Windows. Within Windows, you must look for a window or a folder labeled Media. Here we found Media. You then click Open, and within Windows, or within the media file, you'll see there are several different sounds that you can use to notify you to come to your computer to place a trade. You also have the option to import different sounds into this folder should you have any specific sound you look to use, or a song for that matter. What you would do in that case is open up your My Computer on your desktop, open up the C drive, look in Windows, then Media, and then add whatever file you might like to look for within this folder. Finally, once you've selected your sound, which I'll select Ringin', you then click Open, which will add the file name to the file name box. You can then test the sound by clicking the test button to ensure that the sound is what you want and that it's loud enough. And then finally, you're going to click the button that says, or click the box rather, that says Show the alarm in an individual window, which will in turn create a pop-up window that will not move until you close it, thus giving you an extra advantage as per a notification. Next, I'd like to show you how to set up email alarms. Email alarms are something that we get a lot of questions on, and at some points can be fairly confusing. The most confusing part is setting up the SMTP server. Your SMTP server name is unique per computer and internet service provider. In order to find out this information, if you don't already have it, you would need to call your internet service provider, and the first technician that you speak with should have the SMTP server offhand. If not, you can ask to speak to one of their tech support representatives to get you that information promptly. The next field you'll need to fill out is the sender name field. In the sender name field, you'll see I have MTI 4.0 written. You'll need to copy this as well. Make sure you have MTI 4.0 in the sender name field. Sender email should be written as is as well. Sender email should be written as systems@markettraders.com. systems@markettraders.com. The recipient name is going to be your name or whatever you would like to be notified as. Recipient email is going to be either your cell phone email address, your personal email address, or an email linked with an instant messaging service that will allow an instant messenger pop-up to come up upon these alarms. In most cases, clients would like to see the email sent to their cell phone, thus giving you a notification when you are away from your computer. In order to do so, you must first find out your cellular telephone's email address. In most cases, is a series of numbers followed by your provider .com, .net, .org, whatever it may be. At any rate, again, you would need to contact your cellular cell phone provider in order to find out that information. You can also CC that to your email as a ticket or receipt, if you will, for that alarm, and you can BCC it to another email address if you'd like. Once you've completed this information, come down to the bottom and check the following boxes. You need to check the box that says Send Email for System Trades and Price Alarms. Then, click the box that says Send Email for Individual Indicators. Also, if you're using trendline or counter-trendline breaks, you need to make sure the email for trend lines is checked. And also, if you're sending it to your cell phone, make sure that short email for text messages is also checked. Otherwise, you'll get a 17-page email that I'm sure you won't want to read through. So again, once you've finished all this information, you can test it by clicking the test button. It'll automatically populate the information, and if you don't have something filled out correctly, it will let you know. The next thing that I'd like to show you is a quick explanation of the timeframes menu. You can find the timeframes menu by clicking the small TF symbol on the bottom right-hand corner of each chart. The timeframes menu will then open upon clicking that. You have three options for timeframes. You have own period, next period, and highest period. The own period is the value that you'll get per each candle. In this case, I have 60 minutes in the own period, thus giving us 60-minute candles. Each candle is represented by 60 minutes in time. The next and highest period, in most cases, when only using this strictly for analysis, is only represented by the vertical grid lines that separate days and weeks. However, when you're using systems, you can also change this to have a system programmed off of multiple time frames. Like the trend scalper, when using the trend scalper, you want to layer your time frames, own next and highest, in double increasing increments. What I mean by that is when using a 60-minute chart with the trend scalper, you want your time frames to be set 60, 120, and 240. This is because the trend scalper system is programmed to work on multiple time frames and read all three of these. When you do so, you'll notice a small change in your chart, which most of the time will only be changed by this green outer moving trend line. The green outer moving trend line comes from the highest time frame, or the 240 chart, giving you an idea of what the bigger trend looks like. This again will help you in trading and giving you an idea of what the overall trend on any specified currency is. Again, to access the timeframes menu, you're going to click the TF button on the bottom right-hand corner. If you're using systems, you can layer them accordingly. If not, you use the daily and weekly to separate the daily and weekly vertical grid lines. Next, I'd like to show you how to use alarms when using systems. First of all, you need to open a system that you've created. In this case, I'll use one of my previously created systems as demonstration. Here, in the Systems Edit box, you'll see there's an option on the bottom right-hand corner that says Show Trades on the Chart, which will in turn give you arrows pointing either long or short, and Alarm on Condition. Now, the Alarm on Condition box is a very important feature, as if you don't have this checked, the alarm feature will not work with your sound and alarms. Therefore, once you check this box and then click close, you should officially be getting alarms every time you have an arrow popped up to the north or south telling you to go short or long in this market. In closing, hopefully this video helps you along the way in developing your technical analysis and provides you newfound confidence on your way to becoming a professional trader. As always, thank you for your time and have a great day.